The 2015 Nepal earthquake, also referred to as the Himalayan earthquake, occurred at 11:56 NST on April 25 with a moment magnitude, MW, of 7.8 or 8.1 milliseconds and a maximum Mercalli intensity of 9, violent. Its epicenter was approximately 34 kilometers, 21 miles, east-southeast of Lamjung, Nepal, and its hypocenter was at a depth of approximately 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles. It was the most powerful disaster to strike Nepal since the 1934 Nepal-Bihar earthquake. As of April 28, 2015, more than 5,000 people were believed to have died as a result, with casualties reported in Nepal and adjoining areas of India, China, and Bangladesh. Within minutes of the earthquake, the Government of India, via the Indian Armed Forces, initiated Operation Maitri, English, Operation Amity, a massive humanitarian mission with the primary objective of conducting relief and rescue operations in Nepal. The Indian government also evacuated Indian and foreign citizens from Nepal. The earthquake triggered an avalanche on Mount Everest, killing at least 18. The death toll surpassed that of the 2014 Mount Everest avalanche, making it the most lethal day on the mountain. It triggered another huge avalanche in Langtang Valley where 250 are missing. Centuries-old buildings were destroyed at UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the Kathmandu Valley, including some at the Kathmandu Durbar Square, the Patan Durbar Square and the Bhaktapur Durbar Square. Nepal's government has declared 3 days of mourning after the quake. Continued aftershocks occurred throughout Nepal, with one shock reaching a magnitude of 6.7 on April 26 at 12 hours 54 minutes and 8 seconds NST. The earthquake occurred on April 25, 2015 at 11:56 am NST, 6 hours 11 minutes and 26 seconds UTC, at a depth of approximately 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles, which is considered shallow and therefore more damaging than quakes that originate deeper in the ground, with its epicenter approximately 34 kilometers, 21 miles, east-southeast of Lamjung, Nepal, lasting approximately 20 seconds. The earthquake was initially reported as 7.5 MW by the United States Geological Survey, USGS, before it was quickly upgraded to 7.9 MW and finally downgraded to 7.8 MW. The China Earthquake Networks Center, CENC, reported the earthquake's magnitude to be 8.1 milliseconds. The India Meteorological Department, IMD, said 2 powerful quakes were registered in Nepal at 6:11 UTC and 6:45 UTC. The first quake measured 7.9 MW and its epicenter was identified at a distance of 80 km to the northwest of the capital Kathmandu. The second earthquake was somewhat less powerful at 6.6 MW. The seismic focus lay at a depth of 10 km, 6.2 miles, below the Earth's surface. Bharatpur was the nearest major city to the main earthquake, 53 km, 33 miles, from the epicenter. The second earthquake occurred 81 km, 50 miles, northwest of Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. Over 35 aftershocks of magnitude 4.5 MW or greater occurred following the initial earthquake, including one of magnitude 6.6 MW. According to the USGS, the tremor was caused by a sudden thrust, or release of built-up stress, along the major fault line where the Indian plate, carrying India, is slowly diving underneath the Eurasian plate, carrying much of Europe and Asia. Kathmandu, situated on a block of crust approximately 120 kilometers, 75 miles, wide and 60 kilometers, 37 miles, long, reportedly shifted 3 m, 10 feet, to the south in just 30 seconds. The risk of a large earthquake was well known beforehand. In 2013, in an interview with seismologist Vinod Kumar Gar, The Hindu quoted him as saying, "Calculations show that there is sufficient accumulated energy in the MFT, now to produce an 8-magnitude earthquake. I cannot say when. It may not happen tomorrow, but it could possibly happen sometime this century, or wait longer to produce a much larger one." According to Brian Tucker, founder of a non-profit organization devoted to reducing casualties from natural disasters, some government officials had expressed confidence that such an earthquake would not occur again. Tucker recounted a conversation he had had with a government official in the 1990s who said, "We don't have to worry about earthquakes anymore, because we already had an earthquake." The previous earthquake to which he referred was the one in 1934. Nepal lies towards the southern limit of the diffuse collisional boundary where the Indian plate underthrusts the Eurasian plate, occupying the central sector of the Himalayan arc, nearly one-third of the 2,400 kilometers, 1,500 miles, long Himalayas. Geologically, the Nepal Himalayas are subdivided into 5 tectonic zones from north to south, east to west and almost parallel to subparallel. These 5 distinct morphogeotectonic zones are: 1. Terai Plain, 2. Sub-Himalaya, Sivalik Range, 3. Lesser Himalaya, Mahabharat Range and Mid-Valleys, 4. Higher Himalaya, and 5. Inner Himalaya, Tibetan Tethys. Each of these zones is clearly identified by their morphological, geological, and tectonic features. The convergence rate between the plates in central Nepal is about 45 mm, 1.8 in, per year. The location, magnitude, and focal mechanism of the earthquake suggest that it was caused by a slip along the main frontal thrust. The earthquake's effects were amplified in Kathmandu as it sits on the Kathmandu Basin, which contains up to 600 m, 2,000 feet, of sedimentary rocks, representing the infilling of a lake. Based on the study of the main frontal thrust, on average a big earthquake occurs every 1,000 years in the East Nepal region. According to Did You Feel It? DYFI, responses on the USGS website, the intensity in Kathmandu was 9, violent. Tremors were felt in the neighboring Indian states of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Assam, West Bengal, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, in the Indian capital region around New Delhi and as far south as Karnataka. Many buildings were brought down in Bihar. Minor cracks in the walls of houses were reported in Odisha. Minor quakes were registered as far as Kochi in the southern state of Kerala. The intensity in Patna was V, moderate. The intensity was 4, light, in Dhaka, Bangladesh. The earthquake was also experienced across southwestern China, ranging from the Tibet Autonomous Region to Chengdu, which is 1,900 kilometers, 1,200 miles, away from the epicenter. Tremors were felt in Pakistan and Bhutan. Aftershocks. A major aftershock of magnitude 6.7 MW occurred on April 26, 2015 in the same region at 12:55 NST, 7:09 UTC, with an epicenter located about 17 kilometers, 11 miles, south of Kodari, Nepal. The aftershock caused fresh avalanches on Mount Everest and was felt in many places in northern India including Kolkata, Siliguri, Jalpaiguri, and Assam. The aftershock caused a landslide on the Kashi Highway which blocked the section of the road between Beditar and Mulgat. A model of GeoGateway, based on a United States Geological Survey mechanism, of a near-horizontal fault and location of aftershocks showed that the fault was an 11 degrees dip striking at 295 degrees, 50 kilometers wide, 150 kilometers long, and had a dip slip of 3 m. The USGS says the aftershock on Sunday registered at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers, 6 miles. Assuming that this earthquake is the largest event in this seismic episode, Nepal can expect more than 30 aftershocks greater than magnitude 5 over the next month. UNICEF announced that close to 1 million children were severely affected by the disaster 54 on April 27. The Himalayan Times reported that as many as 20,000 foreign nationals may have been visiting Nepal at the time of the earthquake. Hundreds of people are still considered missing and more than 450,000 are displaced. As of 4:14 p.m. April 27 in India, Home Minister Rajnath Singh confirmed that 56 people died in the state of Bihar, 12 in Uttar Pradesh, 3 in West Bengal and 1 in Rajasthan. Avalanches on Mount Everest. This earthquake caused many avalanches on Mount Everest. At least 19 climbers are reported dead, with dozens injured or missing. In the Langtang Valley, around 250 people have been reported missing after a huge avalanche that resulted in the village of Langtang itself being wiped out. The Tribhuvan International Airport serving Kathmandu was closed immediately after the quake, but was reopened later in the day for relief operations, with commercial flights planned to resume on April 26. It has since shut down operations sporadically due to aftershocks, and many workers are not at their posts, either from becoming earthquake casualties or because they are dealing with its aftereffects. Buildings in Kathmandu Durbar Square, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, collapsed, as did the Dhara Tower, built in 1832. The collapse of the latter structure killed at least 180 people. Manokamana Temple in Gorkha was also destroyed. The northern side of Janaki Mandir has been reported to be damaged. Several temples, including Kast Hamandap, Panchtail Temple, the 9-story Basantapur Durbar, the Dasa After Temple, Krishna Mandir, and 2 duals located behind the Shiva Parvati Temple, were demolished by the quake. A few other monuments, including the Kumari Temple and the Tailju Bhawani, among others, have partially collapsed. The top of the Jabateshwari Temple in Goshala and some parts of the Pashupatinath Temple, Swayambhunath, Bodhanath Stupa, Ratna Mandir, inside Rani Pokari, and Durbar High School have been destroyed. Telephone service in Kathmandu has been sporadic since the quake, as has electricity. In Patan, the Charnarayan Mandir, the statue of Yagnarendra Malla, a paddy inside Patan Durbar Square, the Tailju Temple, the Hari Shankar and Uma Maheshwar Temple and the Makindranath Temple in Bungmati were destroyed. In Tripurshwar, the Kal Mokan Ghat, a temple inspired by Mughal architecture, was completely destroyed and the nearby Tripura Sundari also suffered significant damage. In Bhaktapur, several monuments, including the Fasai Deva Temple, the Chardham Temple and the 17th century Vatsala Durga Temple, were fully or partially destroyed. Outside the valley, the Manokamana Temple in Gorkha, the Gorkha Durbar, the Palankof Bhagwati, in Kavripalan Chowk district, the Rani Mahal in Palpa district, the Janaki Mandir in Janakpur, the Kuriamai in Makwanpur district, the Dalaka Bhimsensthan in Dalaka district, and the Nuwakot Durbar were partially destroyed. Historian Prashadam Lakan Shrestha stated, "We have lost most of the monuments that had been designated as World Heritage Sites in Kathmandu, Bhaktapur, and Lalitpur district, Nepal. They cannot be restored to their original states." Economic effects. Nepal, with a total GDP of $19.921 billion, according to a 2012 estimate, is one of Asia's poorest countries, and has little ability to fund a major reconstruction effort on its own. Even before the quake, the Asian Development Bank estimated that it would need to spend about 4 times more than it currently does annually on infrastructure through 2020 to attract investment. The U.S. Geological Survey initially estimated economic losses from the temblor at 9% to 50% of gross domestic product, with a best guess of 35%. It's too hard for now to tell the extent of the damage and the effect on Nepal's GDP, according to Hun Kim, an Asian Development Bank (ADB) official. The ADB said on the 28th that it would provide a $3 million grant to Nepal for immediate relief efforts, and up to $200 million for the first phase of rehabilitation. This is a very catastrophic event in a very poor nation. The cost of reconstruction over the next few years will be massive. Rebuilding costs could easily exceed $5 billion, which would be about 20% of Nepal's gross domestic product. Massive international disaster relief and rescue efforts will be needed urgently, as well as large-scale international financial and technical assistance for long-term reconstruction of the economy, said Rajiv Biswas, Chief Asia-Pacific Economist at Colorado-based consultancy services IHS Inc. International Humanitarian Response. Main articles: Humanitarian Response to the 2015 Nepal Earthquake and Operation Maitri. Within minutes of the earthquake on April 25, 2015, the Government of India, via the Indian Armed Forces, initiated Operation Maitri, English, Operation Amity, with the primary objective of conducting relief and rescue operations in Nepal. On Sunday, April 26, 2015, international aid agencies and governments mobilized to respond to the earthquake in Nepal, saying they faced challenges in getting assistance to the country and distributing it amid the widespread devastation there. The global response is being coordinated by the Nepalese government through its National Emergency Operations Center.